What do you need? Corn juice.
Corn juice. All right, hello and welcome. My name is Alex and that's Clayton. So this is a bit of an impromptu video. We happen to have a car on the dyno and it's a bit of a cool build, so I wanted to share with you guys. So we're gonna do a real quick video on this one. Now, it's a 2018 Golf R. It's got a manual transmission, and the interesting bit is that it's got a CTS BOSS500 turbo. Now, originally, way back in the day when I started tuning these turbos, they were quite slow to spool. This is no longer the case with the kit that he has on there. It spools really nicely, it holds boost really well to redline, and that has exposed a problem. What's the problem, Clayton?
It's running out of fuel.
The bane of our existence, DI cars and running out of fuel. So it seems that the 7.5 cars are a little bit weaker than the 7s in terms of fuel system, but there are two pathways that you can upgrade your fuel system. The easiest, simplest, drop it in and forget it is a
Autotech HPFP.
We should get sponsorship for this, right? We had one of these in the shop, and we just called the customer up, and he's more than happy to drop this in. So what this will allow us to do is it will allow the high pressure fuel system to hold more pressure than the stock one can, but also, because it's delivering more volume per stroke, hold it at airflow values where the OEM system was dropping out. So what we're gonna do real quick here is we're gonna pull out the OEM HPFP out, and we're going to open it up, drop in some larger internals. We'll quickly show you guys that and jump back in on the dyno, finalize the 93 octane tune, and then do a little bit of ethanol. So the one thing that we do need is to figure out what's the fuel pump fuse. Just a quick overview of how everything looks in the fuel system here. You've got your feed line from the tank, from the LPFP, the low pressure side, and this feeds your high pressure pump, which is right here. This is electronically controlled via spill valve solenoid, which is at the very top, and inside there's a piston that's moving up and down. That piston is driven by your camshaft inside the motor. So there's a lobe in the camshaft that keeps on driving that piston and delivers the high pressure fuel into this hard line that's down here. To upgrade your system, we have to pull the fuse on the low side pump, so it doesn't just we open the door and it injects a whole bunch of fuel into the engine bay. And then we've got the solenoid to remove, the hard line to remove, and these two bolts to pull the pump out. Once the pump is out, we're going to open it up and replace the internals. You know what we need? We could really use a resonator delete for our Ultrac project from CTS. High quality from Langley. So the HPFP internals are in, and I have to tell you that to pull off the retainer on the OEM internals, make sure you get one of these clamshell style bearing pullers, and then you can use another puller to pull it apart. But this was a savior, and obviously this part, it's a 27 mil, comes with most HPFPs. So now that it's in there, we have more fueling available. I'm just gonna jump in, I'm gonna make sure that pump gas is good, see if there's anything more we can get, and then we're gonna jump on straight to some ethanol and push this BOSS500 a little bit further. So let's do it. So we're setting up now the tune for the upgraded HPFP, driving a little bit more pressure, and also setting the correct flow volume, making sure everything's good here, and then I'm gonna go do a little pull. So we're back in the car here. We just done the HPFP internals, and now we're still on pump gas, and we're right up against the fuel limit. So I wanted to see if we can push it a little bit harder now that we've got the fuel pressure that's stable, and it stays that way throughout the pull. So before we did the internals, the max that we could do is this faint line over here, and that was just under 350 wheel horsepower uncorrected. Now with the high pressure fuel pump internals in there, I was able to run a little bit more boost to stay knock free and to maintain those fuel pressures. So we're able to add about 10 to 15 horsepower across the board. So you got a bigger turbo, even on the stock turbo, if you want to run any sort of ethanol, HPFP internals or MPI are the way to go and obtain more power. And now that we've got this out of the way, we're going to throw some ethanol in the tank and push it harder still. result that you're all waiting for. Maybe. If you've gotten this far, then you're waiting for it. So this is the ethanol tune on the car. Obviously the higher line is the ethanol. We've got E30 in the tank. The high pressure fuel pump that we installed was enough to support this E30 fuel on this 2867 BOSS500 turbo. And the results are 393 horsepower and 393 foot-pounds of torque on ethanol compared to the 358, 356 on pump gas. So we made about 37 horsepower and torque on top of pump gas, and everything has been shifted up. So it looks great. The car pulls hard, and you got to keep in mind that this is on a Mustang dyno that reads low. So usually the comparison that we have with DynoJet, it's about 14% below that. So you're looking at about 450 wheel on a DynoJet, which is right in line with where this turbo will flow and where it will kind of, you know, stop flowing. So nice early spool. We're peaking torque right past 3,500 RPM with a spool point that is right around the 3,300 point to max boost, which is good, right on the threshold of knock, and fuel pressure is holding nice and steady. So super happy. Tuned down via access port. Thought you guys would like to see this setup and how it performs. It's definitely a nice mid-tier turbo. I would say it's pretty comparable to the P-Max stage 1, but you got to keep in mind that a turbo like this will give you that 450 wheel horsepower range on a DynoJet, and that is going to also give you a really wide power band because you have boost and torque way down low. The higher you go on horsepower up here, but then you do sacrifice some down low. You always got to keep that in mind when you're choosing the turbo. How do you use the car? Is it a street car? Do you like to pull away from lights, or is it something that's more track focused that you really need the top end? So hopefully this is interesting. Keep following, subscribe, give us a shout, let us know what you want to see right in the comments below, and until next time, we'll see you guys later.